Welcome to another episode of the Einstein Retirement Daily, where we curate financial, economic, and market news for the headlines that affect today's retiree. Today's topic, there's a commissioner change at the Social Security Administration. Does it really matter? More on that in just a minute. If you hear something in today's podcast that causes you to want to take some action, make some changes to your situation, please be advised that this podcast should not be used as specific tax, legal, or investment information recommendations. If you hear something today that causes you to want to do something, please do confer with the appropriate tax, legal, or investment professional who knows your specific situation prior to making any changes. Article from Lori Conish, one of my favorites over at CNBC, writes an article on the recent change in the Social Security Administration Commissioner. So former Commissioner Andrew Saul and Deputy Commissioner David Black were appointed to their positions by former President Donald Trump. And the appointment has received a lot of praise from groups who are, I guess, tied to the Social Security Administration. I can't exactly figure out who these groups are, other than some of them are members of the legislature. But apparently there's some praise for this decision, and it's kind of a big deal, according to the news. I was trying to figure out why it might be a big deal, and I had a little bit of a tough time. So if you're worried that this could do something bad, or if you're hopeful that this will do something positive, maybe I'm depends on which side you're on, I'm either the bearer of good news or bad news here. But apparently there's a lot of criticism of Andrew Saul and David Black. What I can't tell here is if there's any specific criticisms, at least in Lori's article from CNBC, I don't find any specific critiques of the job of Andrew Saul and David Black. Nothing specific that they did or did not do was highlighted in that article. So far, it appears that the criticisms of former commissioner of the Social Security Administration is that he was appointed by President Trump. So I guess that's enough criticism. There are lots of praise points for, and her name again is Kilolo Kijakazi. Had to work on that one. Kilolo Kijakazi. Okay, so that's the new commissioner. Lots of praise for Ms. Kijakazi, and the praise is a little non-descriptive or non-specific, as the criticisms for former Commissioner Andrew Saul were non-specific. The praise for Ms. Kijakazi is also fairly non-specific. For example, one point of praise for her was that she's very aware of how Social Security affects recipients. I don't know why I find that funny. It just is a very funny thing to write. I don't know how that necessarily helps them, but I guess it's important that she's empathetic. Okay, so no specific claims about any ability for her to run the system more effectively than her predecessor, and I'm not too surprised by that, I guess, but I was, a little hopeful that maybe there was something here that I might learn. Unfortunately, from Lori, although I normally like her articles a lot, this one left a little something to be desired, because all we know is that there is a change, and the rest of the article is mostly political. Okay, Nicole it's the day for hard names. Agrisco, Nicole Agrisco, I'm not sure. I'm going to link these articles so you can figure out how to pronounce their names, and you can tell me if you know. From the Federal News Network. What we learn is a little bit more specific there from that article. Pretty good article from Nicole. Basically, Andrew Saul refused to resign. He was asked to resign. He had a contract to work until January of 2025. So his 6-year contract was going to expire January of 2025, and he refused to resign. Okay, so you can always resign your position. So he was just fired. So my guess is since he refused to resign, my initial guess was it means that he doesn't expect or want to work in another federal government job. So not playing nice is a good way not to be invited back, I guess is the short answer. Now, David Black did resign, which means I think that he wants another job at the federal government. So he's playing nice, probably in hopes of getting assigned some other position. We'll see if that happens. Now, here's the thing. What I didn't realize when I first heard this, and I thought, okay, so he doesn't care about his job, he's just trying to make news or something, is that there actually is a statute that's part of the assigning of the Social Security Commissioner that says that the only way that he can be removed from his position is for neglect of duty or malfeasance in office. So I guess he just doesn't want to lose his job. The problem is that the Federal Housing Finance Agency also has a 4-clause requirement to terminate, but the Supreme Court ruled that unconstitutional. Same thing for the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Same thing happened also there. So I guess he's saying, wait a second, I'm going to fight this. Doesn't sound like he's going to have much success, but the fact that the other two lost, Biden administration chose to get rid of him and instate Kilolo Kijakazi. So I don't think Andrew Saul wants to lose his job. It might be as simple as that. We'll see. I'm not sure. But there are some specific criticisms that were laid out in the article from Nicole Agrisco at the Federal News Network. Nicole cites in her article some specific criticisms, and what I would like to look at here is to see if any of them have anything to do with his handling of the Social Security system. Because according to Laurie Conish's article, it looks like the main reason why Andrew Saul is being ousted is because of who he was appointed by. Has basically nothing to do with his handling of the job. So let's see. Let's see if any of these specific allegations have anything to do with how he ran the system. So, allegation number 1 is that he had terminated the Social Security Administration's telework policy due to COVID-19. Now, personally, because of my position and the work that I do with those who are gearing up for planning their Social Security benefits, filing for benefits, I am privy to client or workers' phone calls with the Social Security system. I'm often invited to join on those calls to make sure that what the Social Security Administration is telling my client is correct. That is a very common thing that happens. So, I have noticed since the COVID-19 telework that the proficiency of the Social Security system to get things done has been especially bad. Now, there are other times that it's bad just because it's bad, but it has been especially bad since COVID-19. But we kind of forgive them, right? Because, you know, sort of a weird time. However, removing a telework policy that was causing the system to operate inefficiently doesn't seem like something that's not part of your job as the commissioner. That would seem like exactly the right call that we want the Social Security Commissioner to make. Okay, let me give you an example. If you're not so sure about this, what do I mean by reduced efficiency? I had a client whose spouse passed away, and it occurred right at the beginning of this year. He was receiving Social Security benefits. His spouse, who outlived him, is due widow benefits. It took 6 months just for us to get the phone call with the system, the Social Security Administration, to get those benefits issued and started. And then documentation was required, which she provided very quickly, and it still took 3 weeks before they acknowledged having received them because the person who was in charge of processing her paperwork was working remotely. So, good thing she didn't happen to need the money, because if someone were in that position and needed the money, they're stuck for 6 months with nothing. So this is just totally unacceptable to me. There's got to be another way. I get the concerns about safety, right? We're all on the same page around safety. We wanted the workers to be safe. We didn't want people putting their lives at risk. But at the same time, we also have to account for people not receiving benefits because stuff is not getting processed in a timely and proper fashion because of maybe a telework thing that isn't working out very well. Well, we have to address that. And so whether he made the right decision or not, he was trying to address a legitimate problem. And so I don't think that that is a criticism of his running of the system per se. Now, maybe they didn't like him for it, but that's a different issue. Okay, it's a judgment call, right? We can't accuse him of wanting the system to work less effectively. He wanted the system to work more effectively. So whether he was successful or not is a different issue. Can you fire someone for having good intentions but having a bad outcome? Of course. Okay, now maybe not in Social Security or the federal government, but in normal jobs, can you fire someone for having good intentions but creating a bad outcome? Yes. So did he have good intentions? I think it's clear that we could say yes. You know, removing a telework policy that's not going well is good intentions, right? Come back to the office, let's get back, we got to process better, we were operating more efficiently before, let's improve that. Now, was it the right call? That's debatable, I get that. Okay, specific criticism number 2 of Andrew Saul. This one's kind of a mouthful, so I'm just going to read the quote. He did not repair Social Security Administration's relationships with relevant federal employee unions, including in the context of COVID-19 workplace safety planning. All right. So we don't know any specifics of how he did or did not work with the unions, I guess. But let's get real for a second. This sounds like he was disagreeable. He's just a disagreeable person. Now, do you want someone running a government program who's agreeable or disagreeable? Do you want someone who has high expectations? Because many disagreeable people could be sort of misconstrued in a sense that they just have high expectations. They're considered to be, jerks. Well, not use the other term. They're considered to be jerks when in reality they're just disagreeable with high expectations that they hold people accountable to. Some people think that's a jerk thing to do. Others like that accountability and that high performance mindset, but in a federal federal program context, we want our government to work as efficiently as possible. Generally, I think we want fairly disagreeable people to run those systems so they get the most out of them. But maybe not. Maybe you want someone who's more lenient and allows people to, work at their own pace and work in their own style, or work from home when they're not performing while they're working at home, despite their consistent lack of production and progress while working from home. I mean, basically what I take away from all this is 2 things. Number 1, people didn't like Andrew Saul, okay? I think it's clear that he's disagreeable because he just got fired from his job and he's still fighting to work there. It's clear that no one likes him. You gotta have so there's big 5 personality traits. One of them is disagreeableness. I bet he rates very highly in disagreeableness. So he's a very disagreeable guy. So hopefully Ms. Kijakazi, I'm going to work on your name, Ms. Kijakazi. Ms. Kijakazi will bring a more, cohesive workplace environment, more enjoyable workplace environment. Hopefully that will improve the efficiency of the Social Security system. Hopefully people will be more excited about working and getting things processed because, good Lord, 6 months is way too long to wait for a widow benefit, and hopefully we can get that fixed and back on track. Any dreams of, so that's number 1. Number 2, any dreams of Ms. Kijakazi improving the system is not realistic, okay? She's still bound by the rules of the system, the Social Security code itself. Unless she starts breaking rules, the system's going to operate how it operates. It's not as if she's going to do anything to improve it or make it go worse. She's just running a system that has a certain set of rules and codes. So don't get too excited if you're hoping for some magical paychecks from this appointment change. Hate to burst that bubble, but probably not. Okay, with that, we're going to wrap up for today. As always, if you would like, check out the articles. We will link them in the description section. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, and we'll hope to see you next time.